All right. I hope you're having a wonderful day, everybody. It has been a few days since I talked about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. So, if you've been waiting for those videos, we are going to talk about a certain union that is actually supporting the deal. Let's dive in right now. I do say that with a caveat because since the announcement that they supported this, a lot has gone down with the layoffs and everything. But another major trade organization is backing the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. This is from Jez Corden, and this is about the European Game Developer Federation. They do a great little breakdown here at the start of their articles. It says, Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision Blizzard. The regulatory process is grueling with the EU, US FTC, and UK CMA all setting concerns. By the way, we should hear more about whatever the EU's concerns are next week. And Microsoft has a chance to rebut and discuss those. Major labor unions and trade organizations are seemingly in support of the deal, now including the EGDF, which represents major national trade associations across the bloc. In a piece of good news for Microsoft's acquisition hopes, a major trade federation in Europe has thrown its weight in support of the Activision Blizzard deal. Microsoft is aiming to acquire, we know, Jez. So basically, here's the quote that we're looking for. The EGDF supports Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition as its potential positive impacts on the competition in game markets in general outweigh the limited console and subscription market specific competition concerns. Furthermore, in the console games market, Sony is a clear market leader with its PlayStation platform, and Microsoft is still a challenger position. Now, here's the thing. This report came out before Microsoft said we're laying off 10,000 workers. Now, I've seen the graphs where people say, well, that's actually just a course correction because they've hired like 40,000 people or some crazy number in just the last year, and they need to reduce that by about a 10,000 headcount at all of Microsoft. We don't have any numbers about how hard that has hit the Xbox branch, but we do know it has hit Bethesda, and I think that's going to give the EU, the CMA, the FTC, everybody across the board ammunition to say something about the case. Now, the EGDF support, I don't believe, has waned since that news, but I would have to dig into it more. And we have quotes like this quote on the Wall Street Journal about Satya Nadella right before they laid off all those people about believing in competition. Here's what he said. In the interview, Mr. Nadella also defended the software giant's $75 billion acquisition of gaming company Activision Blizzard Inc., which has come under criticism from antitrust authorities on both sides of the Atlantic. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission has filed a lawsuit aimed at blocking the transaction. Well, the EU has opened an in-depth investigation to the deal. That's a normal process, by the way. I don't know why they're highlighting it like that. We knew that would happen. Anyway, a process that could potentially lead to a similar challenge. Mr. Nadella said that his deal would boost competition. Microsoft has argued that it is a small player in video game development and that it is trying to bulk up its game development studio. It has said it won't favor its own games on its Xbox consoles. I'm sorry, I don't understand that sentence. I think what they're trying to say is basically that they're not going to make Call of Duty exclusive, but of course they like their games on their console. I don't like that sentence. It's confusing to me, and I'm dumb. Anyway, being a number 4 player, trying to add some content and create more opportunity for more publishers and more gamers to be able to enjoy. I mean, if you believe in competition, you should believe in this deal, Mr. Nadella said. I hope the competition authorities get focused more on competition, and that would be a good day. Now, here's the thing. All these statements were made before the layoffs, and now it has a lingering effect on the perception that everybody has about the deal. At the end of the day, do I still think that the deal will be good for the full-time workers at Activision Blizzard who have been asking for change and wanting Microsoft to do the acquisition? Yes, I do. But there is an important challenge to even that assumption. And that is the contractor policy at Microsoft. Microsoft's contractor policy could disrupt Activision's game development. And the problem is, after 18 months, contractors get laid off and you have to start all over again. And I'm guessing Activision Blizzard utilizes contractors. So actually, before we dive into that, I know half of you watching right now aren't subscribed. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, help my channel out. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers. Let's dive into this next part right now. So Microsoft's contractor policy could disrupt their plans and how things work. In our previous coverage, I've expressed thoughts on how Microsoft's business plan could significantly disrupt Activision Blizzard's earnings by offering key premium games on Xbox Game Pass. I've also discussed that Microsoft could lay off many Activision Blizzard King employees post-merger, especially in cost synergy areas like marketing and HR. Now, another interesting point could be worth exploring. How would Microsoft affect game development at Activision Blizzard King? Microsoft's recent 10,000 employee layoff spree could give us a few clues. They go into the ex-Halo developer Tyler Owens, who basically said between the contracting policies they abuse for tax incentives, pointing out that basically you either have to bring somebody on full-time or let them go after 18 months, and Microsoft chooses to let them go. And then he goes on to explain what I just said. A lot of game developers depend on external third-party studios and contractors to get things done. Many tasks like animation, environmental effects, and character models are outsourced to contractors. There's simply too much for any one team to do. 343 Industries, for example, relied on contractors to make Halo Infinite, and Schreier reported about the churn and burn there. So it is implied that the same could be true for other Xbox projects as well. Perfect Dark, for example, was a game that faced tumultuous development, and the new Fable game has apparently been rebooted internally. So we have to wonder, how could this 18-month policy affect Activision Blizzard King? Right now, Activision is expanding Call of Duty more than it ever has, with every studio in the Activision label working on the franchise in some fashion. Blizzard is also expanding into new territories. The publisher is trying to unify game development under a single engine and is working on new projects like Diablo 4, World of Warcraft expansions, and a brand new online fantasy survival game. I actually didn't know that. That's cool. And King is on Candy Crush. What will happen? So he's just posing the question. So that's honestly an important question that Microsoft needs to answer. What will happen when you are brought into the Microsoft family, for lack of a better term? What happens to those contract workers? I don't know, but we do know what's happened at 343, and we've seen that there actually were layoffs at Bethesda Softworks. It seems like Bethesda was impacted less than 343, who got the worst of it. 343 did. But the fact that there were layoffs at all, it's just has a lot of people worried about what the future would hold once the deal goes through. Now, my understanding of the whole thing is, I think everybody just went nuts during the pandemic. They're like, we have to hire all these people. And now that things have sort of calmed down with the pandemic and people are spending less because we're all getting ready for a recession. Yes, I've seen the comments where you say there's not a recession happening, but people are scared in 2023. They are holding on to their money. There's 40,000 layoffs last week, right? So they're worried about it. This is an important criticism that Microsoft does need to address in the near future, in my opinion, and I hope they do sooner rather than later, because if they don't, the EU and the CMA are going to make them address it in court, and likely the FTC also. The Gamers lawsuit, which actually I'll see if I still have that up somewhere. I've been meaning to talk about all these stories for so long, so I'm doing this a little bit more freeform than I normally would. So I apologize for the lack of structure to this episode. So I'm going to go a little bit off script right now. And let's see here. Here we go. So Itis over on Reset Era said, California judge has denied Microsoft's request to stay, read freeze, so-called gamer lawsuit intended to block Activision Blizzard deal. Microsoft wanted it held off until after the FTC suit. Hearing on a preliminary injunction now scheduled for 3/23 after Microsoft deal wouldn't close before 3/31. So a few highlights. IDIS, the person who originally reported the story, said discovery questions are on February 2nd. So that's coming right around the corner. They're looking for depositions of top executives, likely including Satya Nadella, as well as reps of Sony and Nintendo. Judge Corley disclosed that her son works for Microsoft Medical AI, hopefully still, and that my children did play Call of Duty. For the plaintiff's lawyer, Joseph M. agreed that there's no conflict. I would play the games if I understood how to do it. Microsoft admitted there is no chance that the deal can close before March 31st. So it certainly seems like this deal has been now pushed out to April. I believe April 15th was the original trajectory, but time will tell what comes of this whole thing. But I'll be right here talking about it. So if you're one of the half of the people watching right now who aren't subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell. I appreciate that you spend your morning or spend your time watching these. I like making them. I want to dive more into that gamer suit, but it's just a little update and it kind of fits here. So yeah, thank you to the members for supporting me making this content. I really appreciate you. If you would like to become a member, I post all my videos with no ads. You can click that join button. It's right there next to the subscribe button. So check that out. Just kidding. All right. And check out the video where I discussed why I think Forza is going to be awesome. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.